And hello there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. It is the Dear UG here once again. And we are back for another Let's Take a Look at. And this one, of course, is the Modern Chronicles Curse over Valdria. Okay, if you're used to my channel by now, this is also from the same people who did the Sakura Swim Club and the Sex Demon game we took a look at a few months back. And High School Romance, I believe, as well. Now, this game, though, is a little bit on the cheaper side, as it's only $4.99, and you do get both the PS4 and the PS5 version, which I did platinum the PS5 version this morning, but I did do the trick, which I'm not going to do the trick on the stream, but I at least will show you how if you want to get an easy platinum. All you got to do is go to After Choices, Transactions, activate them, and make the text speed go faster than Speedy Gonzalez. But we're not here for that, because when we do Let's Take a Look at, we don't do that. We actually read. So come and join me and Vibrator as we read. And now I was at the top of the hill, willing to confront any army of sorcerers dressed only in robes of transparent blue silk, riding unicorns with red fur and very long golden horns in the middle of their foreheads. Behind them, looking at me hungrily, a menacing red dragon, whom the leader of the mages, a woman with dark skin, short hair, and huge hypnotic breast. Enough. If you keep talking shit, I'll swear I'll... Damn, where do you see big, gigantic melons? Okay, don't be mad. I admit it, maybe it was not a dragon, but a... shut up. I should rip your tongue out right now. Come on, how could I show you that I'm capable of doing with it then? Damn. I'm sick of your little games. Do you know what we do with prisoners who are of no use? Show me what? Send me to the Detroit Lions? We smear them in honey. Oh, go on. This is getting interesting. And we leave them in front of a slime manhole. I advise you start telling us everything that happened in detail and from the beginning. You have to be more specific. How detailed are we talking about? Very detailed. Okay, whatever. I'll be as thorough as one of those sloot ants. The day the Black Emperor set one of her personal servants to fetch me, apparently wanting to see me immediately. The servant wore a gold-colored dress and hair was tied. I don't care how the servant was dressed. You said you wanted me to be very detailed. I'm gonna start cutting off your fingers now. Okay. Anyway, before all of the servant you care so little came to meet me, I was about to carry out a commendable mission in Potrixus Pudding. That night the place was abuzz with fun and excitement. Apparently some kind of event was taking place, which, to be honest, hardly mattered. The drink flowed incessantly in the music of some bards who had come to Mirfla from Melodilia and live at an already splendid celebration. Ah, more boobs. Let the Marauder take you, you darn gin. Nobody is that lucky. If I find out you're cheating, I'll swear I'll... Son was a well-known and prestigious figure in the city, a long-time member of the Wrestlers Guild. She had earned a well-deserved reputation as a woman of arms and also an easily irritable bully. Having fought at her side in many battles, I am a witness of that. Come on, dear. You offend me. How can you believe that I would try to trick you in such a fascinating, beautiful, and dangerous creature like you? Nothing is further from reality. Especially given the compromising rules of our duel. And tell me, what piece of clothing will you bet on now? He's pluckling you, Celia. If he continues like this, it would take your entire road. Ooh. Well, everyone knows that it is not very extensive. And it doesn't smell too good either. The mischievous comments and mocking laughter angered her overwhelmingly, and I could see the flush of anger rising on her cheeks and a rush of color. She slammed her fist on the table, and the drink splashed onto the wood that had long ago reeked of stale alcohol. Now that I think about it, you would like Slater. You have many things in common. Darren, I'm going to hurt you a lot. Perhaps I'll enjoy that. Ugh. Get on with the story. Flea and Wrench grin. Let me look inside your gloves. As you wish, my dear. I'll let you look inside my gloves and everything I'm wearing, if you so desire. The crowd howled in anticipation as I, with a broad smile on my face, mercilessly began to remove my mittens. The more time she spent pulling the leather of each of the fingers, the more his anger grew, and I'm not gonna lie here, the crowd and myself having fun. I revealed that I was in fact not hiding anything in them, and set out to play without wearing them for the rest of the game as a gesture of commitment and camaraderie. Meanwhile, my adversary, hit by a wave of astonishment and anger, cursed in a low voice without acknowledging that, after all, luck tends to smile at me naturally. In this specific case, I was cheating with intrepid without her or anyone else appearing to notice. You are a despicable and decisive liar. Of course I am, I know it. But you can't deny that I'm also good at words and very charming. For some strange reason, everyone assumes that when playing cards, gloves are the place to look for deception. But if there's one thing in which we Jin are superior to other races, it is speed. And in vileness. Well, yes, and that too, precisely because of that, it was still easier for me to change cards for others that I had previously prepared and hidden between the folds of the armor. Eager for emotions, I allowed myself the license to dismiss my care in carrying out my deceptions, but I was still able to continue my tricks without reservation. When I had almost completely undressed her, so it rose from the table like a spring, and with a kick overturned the table along with everything that was laying on it. With a thunderous wheeze, more like raging bull than a woman, she turned around and, crushing both my oxygen, me and more than likely descent, she left the tavern, kicking the door. The entire tavern laughed at the prompt withdrawal of my rival, in honor of which we decided to raise our glasses in respect. Flanked by two young ladies who provided me with both food and drink and affectionate, carelessly, I recognized Orlan's long neck. I watched as she, distinctly entitled, entered the room, too, like a shadow, blended in with the woman around me. No, Dark Knight, no. Must be talking about how the Rams won the night. She was a girl of obvious loyalty, reserved and prudent, always ready to serve the Empress in her best possible way. Just because. She didn't talk too much and appeared to be immune to my charms, which I must deny someday, by the way, so the Empress rarely pushed her away from her side. Hot damn! I will admit the exquisite abdo adorned with rhinestones and the golden suit that she wore with natural elegance, because you already made it clear to me that they are details that you do not care about. But I imagine you want to know that she approached and, almost touching my ear, whispered that our mistress, the Black Empress, wanted to see me immediately. That was not a good sign. And although my plans for the night had something to do with the whole group of beauties that surrounded me, I had to discard them and faithfully attend the call of my lady. Visibly annoyed, I left the warmth of the padded seat that I shared with my several companions, and addressing everyone present, I apologized for having to hastily leave them. My party companions cheered me for leaving them so soon, but all I could do was promise that in the near future we would pick up the celebration right where we left off. Now without bitterness, I took my bags and headed for the next door to leave the place. Dark Knight says, enjoy your stream, I'm going to try and sleep. Sleep's overrated. Aurora left the place shortly after, and, with success, took a different route to return to the palace. The night was pleasantly cold, and the moon shone through some lonely clouds that streaked the horizons to the east. With mounting disaster, I left behind the river that still regained in the picturesque pudding, and headed for the mighty black sphere, the place of the Empress. I still do not understand how after so long you maintain that undeserved frame that guarantees you the position of executioner claw. I stopped, and although I believed that my night could not get any worse, I was wrong. With observation laziness, I turned promptly around to greet the man speaking to me from the shadows of an alley. Yoda, as resentful as usual, still taking advantage of any occasion to cry bitterly while making it clear how much the way our chores are disputed bothers you. I loathe you, Vislick, just as I doubt your ability to effectively perform the duties entrusted to you. I sincerely believe that a gin scum like you should just heap beds and make commoners laugh. I wonder what bothers you the most. That a gin scum is a Shakin's executioner claw, or that a gin scum's soon as he warms up the only bed you wish you could get into. His expression turned into a score of anger, and I couldn't help but rejoice at the sting my words had caused him. Oh, but let me correct you. It's not just the bed that I dedicate myself to warming up. Do you want to know what she's like? She likes me to do right after? Shut up, Fistrealm. By Mandok's blood, I warn you, shut up or... Oh, what? Will you do something to me? Surprise me, Yoda. You will have to be really creative because by now I have a lot of baggage. You disgust me, Jin, and I am ashamed that a half-beast like you has become one of the most prominent figures within our military structure. Her attacks were more amusing than offensive to me, so visibly entertaining, I waved my tail from side to side with the intentness of focusing his attention on it, and everything is preserved. Yoda watched it shake whimsically and sounded in disgust and hurtfulness. And you still have the audacity to show off that unnatural appendage in front of me. You're pathetic. Oh, you have no idea how unnatural my appendix is said to be. It is uncommon in size and thickness, and apparently, in addition to being playful, it's extremely soft and pleasant to the touch. Are we talking about his tail, or are we talking about the penis? Do you want to touch it, Yoda? Come on, satisfy your curiosity. Everyone who does ends up wanting more. I should cut off that fox tail. Okay, it's its tail. Whew! I should cut off that fox tail and stuff it down your throat until you choke on it. Ah, Yoda, you're naughty. How many implications are diluted from your words? But tell me, why so much restraintment? Are you lacking in affection, is that? I approached him, looking at him with a mixture of compassion and feigned kindness. I reached out to carry his face, knowing in advance how much my attitude was bothering him. I like women, you know, but with the necessary motivation, I don't mind making exceptions. After all, pleasure is pleasure. That sounds like something you would hear in the Hellraiser films. Which, ironically enough, it is October, isn't it, Vibrator? So if you've not watched a Hellraiser film, go watch the first 3 Hellraiser films. Some of the ones that went straight to DVD ain't bad. He responded by slapping my back with violence and turning away offended, as if my proximity burned him. Stay away from me, depraved. I can't see the day when the opportunity arises for us to measure ourselves again and prove to everyone that you are nothing but a fraud. Measure ourselves? Hey, I like the way that sounds. What exactly are we gonna measure? You make me sick, and like the sickness you are, you should be eradicated from the face of this earth. I mean, world. Oh, come on. Don't be so baleful. And Valdria, we men are in danger of execution. We should support each other, don't you think? And so you can see that I mean it, I'll let you touch my tail. Shut up, you dirty animal. You're not a man. You are nothing more than a beast that has learned to speak and to intimate civilized beings. You should take your rightful place alongside the rest of the aberrations and take on the unworthy jobs of the higher races. Hearing in men about the Jinn and how much our existence offend him was really funny. But it was getting late and the Empress was waiting for me. My little game with Yoda, which was repeated with wealthiness atrocity, had come to an end. Well, darling, I know you adore my company, and although our conversation is turning out to be the most enjoyable for me, I'm afraid I must go. After making a group of charming women laugh with beholden titles of nobility, this purply half-beast must go to warmer bed. And also to carry out my responsibilities as executioner claw, of course. Have a good night. I undoubtedly will. I left smiling, aware of the poison that this human excluded every time we spoke. By then I knew that at some point the situation would end badly for one of us. But I think it's going to be me. After everything that happened, do you have any idea of that man's whereabouts? Actually, no, and it's a shame because verbally kicking his racist ass is one of my favorite entertainments. I'm sure you can unleash that entertainment without problem. Those who consider the Gen secondary citizens without rights are pitiful. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, like you, most of them are slaves. Oh yeah, and although not all of us, most of us are adorable. Centurion that I met, and I do not want you to tell me. You don't want to let me express myself freely? You're a repressor. It's because I'm Jen, right? Please, this is something you take seriously? Sure, my personal well-being above all, and sometimes that of others. Let go of me and I'll gladly show thee. You and your precious and round The chatter is over. Pick up where you left off. Of course, your wish is my command, my lady. Take a little bit of a drinky drink. Coca-Cola. That's good Coke. After leaving the idiot Yoda talking to himself and spitting gale, I started back in the direction of the palace. I wanted to walk to the massive gates that led into La Garnois and greet the guards who were diligently watching during the heavy night shift. I walked with a clinging down the path that led to the private quarters of the Black Empress, wondering what that urgent assignment would be, and assuming that unfortunately I was not going to like it. I knocked on the door musically as I used to announce my arrival, and, without waiting for an answer, I crossed the threshold to stand by the wooden gate of Kudia Oak until I received permission to approach. A fire crackled in the center of the room, illuminating every corner with shades of orange that struggled to brighten the gloomy decor that pressed the Empress. Several shelves of books containing arcane knowledge, available to the few powerful enough to understand it, surround a variant Scott divine. Clusters of soft cushions and academe ranging were piled up like practical ornaments as a trio of soft stairs led to the upper part of the room. There, the huge four-poster bed was undisputed star. The voice of my mistress slipped gently behind translucent curtains that revealed the perfection of her body. Go ahead, darling. I have something important to entrust you. I've been at her service long enough to know how to clearly read every detail of her body language, her looks, the tone of her voice. Something was greatly disturbing her. I watched in silence as she practiced placing the crown that characterized her on her head. After a few seconds, she left the shelter of her fabrics that hid her to join me next to the fire that heated the room. Damn! I can see where she hides the magic. And do you believe in magic in those big old boots? As you know, tensions with the neighboring kingdom of Knockblade are mounting. That cursed wild witch is trying to monopolize all the immense universes in this region, and it's something we cannot allow. I understand. It is no secret from you that I have long planned to annex those territories to our kingdom. Sakura would become the greatest power in all of Valdria if those mines were ours. I smiled slightly. I was sure that was the story she told the rest of his personal cohort, the excuse that matched her true intentions, but I could see through that lie. However, there is something else, right? Sometimes the fact that you see through me so well worries me. How could I not? It's a big burden you carry on thy shoulders, my lady. I slipped my hand under her robes, and she stifled a groan. Have I given you permission to lay your hand on me, slave? Her playful tone of voice and the way she pressed her body against mine made it clear to me that my daring could continue. Sometimes a little initiative doesn't hurt, my lady. You are overreaching, she moaned again. Do you really want me to stop? Take off your armor, now. Stop right there. Just explain things of interest to me. That's just what I'm doing. Think of it as a catalog of things that I could do to you if we... No. Skip to the part where she gave you the mission that started it all. You sure about that? I think you'd like to... I'm pretty sure. Now go on, damn it. I was hoping for the sex. Boo. I paid a fortune for you, but you're a fine specimen, darling, I must admit. Never let me down. Taking into account that we men are almost extinct in Valdria, I could dare say that I am not only a good specimen, but the best. Don't give yourself so much importance, slave. You're just that, a simple, expendable man who will do anything I say, remember? I imagine that her relative appreciation for me made her feel vulnerable, so she used to remind me of how insignificant it was to resist her position of power. Of course, my lady. I lived this... Just what you wanted to hear. That's right, and that's why I want you to assassinate Inmor Divat before this week comes to an end. Hold on. What? That was unexpected, my lady, and a very risky move. How dare you, slave? Who do you take me for? Do you think I haven't planned it carefully? You have no vision or context, so you can understand half of what is going on around you. When I want you to give your opinion, I will ask you. And now shut up and just do what I ordered. Of course, forgive my rudeness. I have spoken to thee without thinking. I acknowledged that my comment was inappropriate and therefore her anger was justified. I gently stroked her left knee in continuance. As far as I can remember, your assassin skills, the ones you love to brag about, should go hand in hand with the ones you display in the bed, so combine them however you like if necessary. But I want her dead. Of course, my lady, I appreciate that you trust in my ability for such a delicate task. They can consider thy will accomplished. I wet my lips over her body, brushing the smooth, buzzed skin softly, and with great care. I needed her to relax again, and as usual, I managed to do it. Like I said, I want her body to cool down as soon as possible, so I can offer you some assistance to get there. These amulets contain a powerful teleportation spell. The blue will take you directly to the undetectable area closest to this place. Red will bring you back to me. You already know how it works. You must break it to activate it and release the spell. From there, it will be up to you. Let's see. We can either choose I appreciate it, but I can teleport there using my own magic. Or I can say thank thee, my lady. Thy will help make things much easier. Take this and now get out of here. Come back with only good news. Do you understand? Of course, my lady. There will be there will be as pleased as usual. She looked away with mocking disdain. However, I know she was worried about what might happen to me. Not for nothing, I was possibly the best male specimen in all of Valdria and the only person she trusted. Interesting. Very interesting indeed. I hold myself in high regard, but taking down the wild witch of Blade was not going to be a piece of cake. I was not scared, if that's what you were thinking. I trusted my abilities to achieve my mission. However, I was aware that I had to plan my strategy with great caution. By the way, could you tell me firsthand the story behind the tradition that you, the brides, are still always displaying with your bare breasts? Pretty please? No. Just answer my questions. Oh, come on. I understand that a lot of armored women display their desirable attributes is something that catches my attention. Are the rumors true? What rumors? That you don't let women with small breasts join the order? By the Marauder's beard. Good thing I'm sure that statement is just another of your stupid lies. If it weren't for the fact that there are almost no men left in Valdria, I'd say it's to destroy. Yet your order is to destroy the Gallo Inn after all. The Gallo are corrupt men and monsters. The Gallo are not men. Those are monsters, and monsters must die. Remember that if you are not resistant to the plague, you would only be one of them. Okay, calm down. But you still haven't told me why you go around with your boobs in display. Okay, let's get this over with. One of the creeds of the Brides of Steel implies that we must be skilled enough to combat to be able to win while at a clear disadvantage. And that disadvantage is going around half naked? What do you do when it's cold? Do you also defeat Panomia with your skill in combat? Ugh, it's over. Get on with your damn story. Oh, you're so boring. Well, where was I? Ah, yes, the forest. Gods, it's hot today. And I'm just a little red-headed southern belle, as radiant as ever, little Malene. Darian, how glad to see you. I didn't expect to be let out of town with all the buzz that seems to be building here. Really? What have I missed? Well, I thought you would know something about it. Seems that the Empress is gathering the troops. I see. Marauder had inherited her mother's cabin after her mother died years ago. She was dedicated to collecting ingredients from alchemists or even some sorceresses. I had known her for several years and had never seen her angry or in a bad mood, so I often took refuge in her house looking for tranquility. Her company was pleasant, and our long conversations helped me at times to collect my wild thoughts, if you will. Being probably the closest thing to a true friend I ever met, I was trying not to bother her too much with my flirts. I tried not to, at least, but watching her blush was too much fun. Anyway, what are you up to lately? Something interesting? Well, the truth is that I have a couple of notable assignments, but at least they are not stressful. I guess the same can't be said for you, can you? What has he asked you this time? Is it too bad? Well, I have an important and a complicated mission outside the kingdom. I do not think it would take long to leave to carry it out. But you know me, nothing I can't deal with. I imagine there is nothing I can do to help you, and if you could tell me more, you would have. But I can treat you to eat, how about it? Please, I'm starving. Wait here, I will go prepare a new dish that I have deserved. You're going to love it. Rena ran happily and got lost inside her cabin. I watched her walk away and for a few seconds invert her slip laid-back way of life. Sigh. Away from my dominion and its constant conspiracies, that cabin deep in the forest was one of the few places capable of inspiring me with peace. The suspicious scent in the air, a purity found nowhere else in Sakura, and the sound of the nearby river sliding through the withered rocks was a melody as smoothing as it was exquisite. Lying on my back and surrounded by the sounds of the forest, I let my mind wander in search of the strategies to face my future task. I toyed with the bunches of wildflowers that grew around me as the light flooded through at the tall tree tops. Flashing dances immediately illuminated the bright-colored petals as the birds struggled to be the loudest and best to raise the hummer's voice above the rest. A pleasant aroma was beginning to reach me from inside the cabin, and I could hear Malene humming happily in the kitchen. I watched her move inside that hut like a busy little bee, always smiling and radiant, and I couldn't help smiling. Absorbed in my thoughts, I did not immediately notice a disturbing detail. The birds had stopped singing and remained in the most solemn silence. All the sounds of the forest had died away, and only the sound of the wind and rushing water remained uninterrupted. I sat up, making use of the keen senses that characterized the members of my race. I looked around and knowing in advance that something very bad was coming. I heard it before I saw it. A grotesque cobra growl that, unfortunately, any Valiant would instantly recognize. Yeah, looks like one of my ex-girlfriends. The menacing creature that was once a man emerged slowly and awkwardly from the cover of the undergrowth. Its limbs twitched, suffering from a constant, grotesque general turmoil that made it look even more sickly and unpleasant. I could see the glim of its laying dead fish eyes and how fair as a foam will consider in the corner of cracked and numb lips that could barely hide huge and sharp teeth. Long clawed fingers flared impurely at a chest dotted with pulsates and scars that grew around the red, swollen banshee scattered across its rotting skin. A handful of crimson appendages sprouted from its body, and without an apparent pattern, only violent against its skin as if they had a life of their own, and often surrounded by fangs of dubious utility. Knowing its limited visceral occur, I stood as still as possible, watched its throat swell hideously as the creature sniffed its surroundings. As you surely know, being an elusive member of the Brides of Steel, a single quote is not a problem with someone experienced. They threat lies in numbers, but they rarely roam alone. If it felt funny, it would alert the horde that was slowly prowling the area. At that time, I pondered what my two options were. Kill the monster as quickly as possible, warn man and hide us until she left. We're gonna go with that one. If I had found myself alone in front of the creature, I would not have hesitated to finish it off, but putting Mel in danger unnecessarily was not among my plans. Moving very carefully so as to not give away my presence, I slipped towards the entrance of the house, avoiding making any noise and keeping myself against the drafts. Mel continued to cook absently, so I gently took her by the arm and gently motioned to her to keep quiet and to follow me. When we came out of the hut, the creature had buried its ugly head in sacks of grain. It thoroughly grudged, devoting some disappointment. Mel looks more surprised than scared, and did not hesitate for a moment to follow me in the direction of the forest where we hid to watch the Gawula wander in frustration. Do you think there would be more in the area? Damn, look at that badonkadonk. I'm sure, so I think it's best to let it make sure there's nothing interesting here and just walk away. Maybe you're right. As if we weren't already suffocating, threatened by the Marauder and in her shadows, we also have to deal with the Gorar. Do you think the plague will ever end? Will men stop becoming that? First, someone should go to the trouble of finding out where that plague is coming from. But I get the feeling that those who might are taking care to benefit from it. With the lack of men and powerful women appropriating them as if they were riches, the new generation will be increasingly scarred. This cannot be good. Well, there will always be the protagonist to take care of the birth-rate. Only if their owners continue to allow them to carry out their work. The Empress would never let you be one of them, for example. And does that bother you, Malay? What? No, of course not. Would you like me to be the father of your daughters? Oh, you hurt my feelings. Well, I didn't mean that. Of course it would be fine. Better you than a stranger. Well, you know, let me know if you ever make up your mind. Hee sure. In that... Oh, no, we've got still things. Well, it looks like that thing has finally given up. Let's get out of here. And that's where I'm going to end this. So if you would like to see what happens and what endings you can get, buy this game for yourself. It is $4.99 on the PlayStation Store, and you do get both versions. Now I'm going to finish the story off stream and have a good time. So I will see you guys Friday evening when we get back to either Devil May Cry, Ghost of Tsushima, or Psychonauts 1. Bye-bye.